So here's my Borgward storage area, otherwise known as my junkyard. Got a hood here, two engines, rear ends with suspension here, two engines here, and these are the fenders from Isabella. One door of Isabella, the other door is underneath these two rear fenders from Tiffany, and then the two front fenders from Tiffany. Over there, a couple of radiators, tires, fuel tank, like all the pieces are here, but it's gonna be a while to put everything together. This weekend I want to take the fenders out, get them pressure washed and cleaned properly. You can see they're quite dirty, and start doing primer tonight. It's way too hot. It's like 36 today, I think, so it's way too hot to spray. The paint will just simply dry too quickly and not flow, so the plan is to spray tonight. But first I gotta dig all of this out of here. Alright, so this would be my goal for the weekend, to get these guys painted. Chase is going to help me. He's painting the grass. I'm not going to do the doors this weekend because they are so much more technical with way more many nooks and crannies. So I'm just going to do these. They're going to be fairly simple to do, but they are dirty. This is all still the original barn dust. These were inside the car when it was transported here, so this didn't blow off on the trailer. It was protected from the wind. These ones look a lot cleaner, but if you turn them around, okay, it's actually not that bad. Don't know why it has a different primer on the inside than the outside. Let's just quickly look at this one. Yeah, this one is way more dirty and also a bit oily over there. I'm a bit concerned. It's very difficult to get oil out of metal, but luckily with the new solvent-based primer that I got from metal, I'm sure it's going to bond a lot better to an oily surface than the water-based primer I was using previously. But anyway, I'm going to blow all of this off with a pressure washer now. Probably not going to record it, and yeah, then I'll bring you back when it's all clean. So the benefit of a 36-degree day is everything dries out quite quick. So I'm just going to leave everything here in my bake booth for a minute, wait till it's perfectly dry, and then take it into the garage and start the wonderful job of sanding. So I see these cracks here, so I'm suspecting when I get into that with the sandpaper, I'm going to find some Bondo, which I'm going to have to take out completely. I want to get, if I suspect there's Bondo, I'm going to go to bare metal, just to make sure that I redo it and it doesn't splinter later. Quite a few places like these where there's welds. I don't know if that's from when it was repaired or when they folded the metal, it made it seem like that, but this is going to be covered by the bumper, the chrome bumper in any way. Alright, so I've got some 320 grit on this blocky of mine, and I'm just going to go over it lightly. Unfortunately, there's a lot of places where I don't have enough hands, where you can see rust like spots coming through this primer. So I'm going to have to just make sure that I get this clean, so that my rust preventing primer that I'm going to put on actually penetrates properly and makes contact with the underlying metal, to stop that from causing nonsense in the future. So yeah, I've got all 4 quarter panels to do. It is 7 minutes past 10 at night, and I'm starting now. So let's see how much I can get done tonight. So a really nasty crack here on the, what's that, right rear fender. And yeah, I just hope it's not all through the metal and it's like, yeah, that I have to do welding. Hopefully it's just the primer or maybe even some Bondo there that's cracking. We'll see when I open it up now. I think I just found something not good. So can you see that line there? It looks like metal folded over each other, but if I move that with my nail, that moves. Take that again, and she's off. Okay, not the end of the world. Better seeing that now than later when the paint is on. So I'm going to take that all off, sand it down, and see if it's needed to put filler on there again. Maybe the curve is actually okay, so we'll see. So it looks like this girl has had some work done. Initially I saw this weld line and I thought, you know, it's just a fold from when they pressed the panels initially in the factory. I didn't think much of it, but it clearly runs through all the way to here, and then you can see some, you know, reconstructing has been done here. But I must say it's been done very, very well. They only had a little bit of Bondo over here and like faded it in. Didn't go overboard like some body shops do. You know, really impressed, so, and very happy. So I'm just going to clean that up as good as I can. Not now, later when I'm ready to start paint prepping, and I'll just smooth it out again with some fresh putty. Okay, so the first 3 panels are done. Still have that one to do. That one. I'm very happy. Didn't expect there to be any issues. Just the one there that I showed earlier, that's going to need some fresh Bondo. The rest really looks very, very nice. I am super happy. With a little bit of luck, I'll finish all the sanding, all the prepping, the Bondo, everything is needed. I'll finish during the week in the evenings, so that next weekend I can start spraying. So all the years in the bond didn't do this any good. There's a lot of deep scratches in the primer like this that I have to sand out, because they will definitely show once I've put color on it. So yeah, I'm going through it painstakingly, looking at every single nook and cranny, making sure that I don't miss stuff like that, especially on these front fenders, because they are immediately in your teeth when you walk past the car. So all the primer came off here, and initially it looked very rusty and pitted, but I sanded it just with a 320 grit by hand, and it's really, really smooth. So I'm actually going to try to not Bondo over here and see what it looks like. I can always, after I've put a layer of primer on and see if it's very uneven, then I can put a thin layer on here, but I don't, I'm going to try not to. It's not going to be very obvious in any way. It's like way at your feet, so I think we'll be okay. Okay, so it's time to address this. So initially I hoped or thought that these were just scratches, but it's actually the Bondo underneath that's starting to peel. So it obviously didn't adhere properly to the underlying metal, and over the years it started to crack and lift. You can feel it's like swollen, or yeah. Now I could probably sand this flat and just paint over it, but once that starts, in my experience, it never stops. So I'm going to take the sandpaper disc things for my grinder, these things, and take this down to bare metal and reapply Bondo if needed. It's probably going to be needed. These guys did a really good job. They went very sparingly and only put it on where it was really necessary, as far as I can tell in any way. Alright, so took it down to bare metal. As the grinder was taking off the paint and Bondo, like for a split second you could see the brown stuff coming through. That just shows you, that's why I always put down a rust converting primer before I apply Bondo. Just prevents any rust underneath the Bondo to jack it up and start cracking it from underneath. Definitely worth doing. This is a lot thicker than I thought it would be. It's probably 1.5 mil thick. I mean, it's quite on there, but I understand why, because it creates like a concave here up to this corner, and you can see the yellow, the copper, as they brazed and fixed whatever was wrong here. All in all, did a very good job, but I'm going to continue cleaning it up, get rid of all of that Bondo, because I don't know if there's going to be any rust underneath there. I'll take the wire wheel for that, and then prime just this area and Bondo it, sand it, prep it, so that the whole thing can get one continuous coat of primer when I'm done. Alright, so I think I've done enough sanding on these 4 panels. I'm going to flip them around and just scratch the inside. Inside's got a really like hardy, looks like an enamel based primer or a solvent based primer on the inside, this brown stuff. Don't fall, don't drop it. Yeah, this stuff. But I am going to just scratch it a little bit. You can see some rust coming through where it got scratched previously and got some Cape Town moisture. So I'm going to just scratch that a little bit with sandpaper to give the new primer something to bite into. Then I'm going to start to clean my work area, get rid of some of the dust at least. I'm going to throw plastic or sheets or whatever on the floor anyway, but yeah, just clean it up a little bit, so that tonight when it's cooler I can lay down some paint. I need to find those magnetic LED lights of mine so that I can charge them, because I need them at night when I paint, because that light is not enough. Check this out. This is the handle for the boot, and it's also got the slots for the license plate lights, and the whole unit upside down. The whole unit is made by Bosch. I did not see that coming. I mean, most of the electronics in the car is made by Bosch, so it would make sense that the fittings and cables and starter motor, etc. But this aluminum casting as well, that's interesting, because that means that this is completely proprietary for Borgward, that they made this. Alright, so I made myself some biltong hanging things. Decided to do this rather than to put them down on a table, because I noticed on, I think it was this one, no, on this one, when I had it upside down, on this with the prime side on the table to sand the inside, it immediately scratched this primer. It's incredibly soft, this filler primer. So I decided to hang them like this, and now I can also do all sides tonight. I don't have to wait for them to dry and then do the other side tomorrow. So it can be a late night tonight, but I can do everything in one night. Okay, so all 4 have been double checked. I'm happy with the sanding that I've done. I have also washed them properly down with clean rags and paint thinner, so they are dust free as much as they can be in this place. I did throw down my floor cover top things, drop sheets. They're also quite clean. They don't look it, but they're quite clean. So yeah, now my next problem is I noticed that this paint is an etch primer. So I made 2 mistakes. I got a red oxide one instead of the gray. That's too late. I'm going to use it now. And also on the back of the can it says it must be diluted with an etch thinner. Now I don't know what an etch thinner is, because that's the only thinner I've known all my life, and that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to test with a little bit of paint in that clean can over there and dilute it and make sure that it doesn't split or anything. I know sometimes when you use the wrong thinner it will split and look like sour milk. So I'm going to do that, and then if it all looks good, then I'm going to start painting. Okay, so the moment of truth. Let's see what happens when I pour in the thinners. I'm gonna do this one-handed, measure the precise amount that I need. It's about 3 glucks. Use my professional stirring stick. I'll shed some light on the subject. Now this looks good. It's not splitting, it's not doing anything funny. I can paint with this. Yeah, that looks good. Just gonna run some clean thinner through my gun and put on my overalls, mask up, and we're good to go.
You're playing your cards with your queen of hearts. When everyone folds, your fork still holds. Your place in your bed, showing no regret. Close your eyes to hide your lies. Roll the dice.
Now I have sprayed hundreds of liters of paint in my life. Okay, maybe not hundreds, but well over 100. And this is the best spraying primer I have ever used. Look at how smooth this is. I'm gonna feel guilty to put color over this. Man, it looks nice. It's drying really quickly, which is also awesome. It's a cool night. That's why I'm doing it tonight, to let it dry slower. It is looking phenomenal. I'm super happy. I've used one gun. It's not quite empty yet. It's a little bit less than a liter. So yeah, a little goes a long way. Or how do they say? Man, I'm happy. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so it's the next day, late afternoon after church. Had a nice supper, no, lunch. And now I'm going to do the Bondo repair on this corner here, where I had to take everything off because it was cracked. As you can see, they definitely did like a weld repair here. The Bondo was quite deep over here, but that's fine because I see they matched it quite well with the body line on the other fender. That's why I've got them bolted together like this so that I can match them up nicely. So I'll take a couple of measurements. This is a little bit concave. If I put a straight edge on there, let's use the white side. So you can see it's not perfectly flush or flat, but that side is significantly worse because of the repair. So I'm gonna fill that in. Initially I thought it was going to be too thick to put in one layer of Bondo, because I don't like putting more than 3 or 4 mils of Bondo at a time, because it heats up a lot when it cures, and then you could get cracks. So internal stresses, which will crack later on. So I like to put it on in layers, let it cure, put on another layer, etc. But this is thin enough, so I'm just going to put on one layer. Make sure I smooth it out all the way around. Like over there is where I stopped with the grinder, so I'm going to have to just fade it in. Make sure that this is completely transparent. And then hopefully by tonight I can just prime that corner again. And then we're good on the front fenders. On the rear fenders I'm going to do the same. I will align this one with this one so that I can compare this curve. This one is still original. It's got no work done to it. I'll align them, and then I will make sure that I model this one to match that one perfectly.
You got me tiptoeing around you like you're made of glass. Got an invincible thing
literally just took it off the hanger, tried to pick up some putty with my knife, and it's already hard. I'm really worried that I put too much activator in this and it's going to spoil the curing process on that other one. Anyway, I'll have to just be careful when I'll just have to check very closely when I sand there. If it's brittle at all or porous, I'll just have to take everything off again and start over. Okay, so this one is done. Like it a lot more. It's still tacky. It's taking way longer to cure, and that's the way I like it. There's a song there somewhere. Anyway, so I'm gonna wait for these to cure 100%. I'm gonna start digging out my sandpaper in this mess so that I can start prepping that one and see how I did. Really worried about it. So I like using these discs for the angle grinder for hand sanding because they're nice and stiff. You can hold on to them. You've got a lot of control. It's a flat surface. So I'm going to take the rough edges off with this. This is 120 grit. And unfortunately I've got nothing in between the 120 and the 320. So I'm just going to have to work with what I have.
Talking way too loud and you're talking rude. You're playing a game, driving me insane. Your heart is back and it's a fact.
Alright, so I've got these two quarter panels lined up. Just make sure that I've got them mirrored properly, rebuilding this edge. So you can see there, this lines up, there we go. When I line the bottom up there, that edge is more or less at the same height. I can bring that down a little bit. I hope you can see it on the camera. Anyway, just gonna have to trust me. So that fold, the corners line up pretty well, but I have to bring that down a little bit. And then I can build up the edge a little bit, bring it up a little bit higher. But over here, just come now. But you can see from this side that has to come down a little bit. I've got too much. Oh man. Yeah, there we go. So I've got too much putty on there. That's at least 3 mils too thick when I line up the back. So yeah, I'm actually going to leave them zip tied together like this. Gives me much better feel for what I'm doing. Okay, so I think I'm fairly happy with the shape now. There's a bit of a high spot there and it dips into a low spot there. So I'm going to apply a little bit more Bondo over there to build up this ridge. Actually from there to there to just try to build up this ridge. And then that is a very deep, it's not a scratch. I mean, I just applied it unevenly and I need to fill that in because I can't take more away. I'm already at the right level there. And then this corner here as well was very brittle. So I took it off with the sanding disc. And I'm just going to build that up as well so that it makes a nice, not sharp, but like a, you know, better curved, more pronounced edge. The rest I'm fairly happy with. Still needs to get sanded with 320 before I can paint it. This is very coarse, but it's coming around nicely. It's good enough for me. It's sanded down to 320 grit now, and yeah, I'm happy. It is now 11:30, so sleep time. All right, so let's do a recap of where we ended last week. I finally rebuilt this corner. It took way longer than scratches. It took way longer than I'm willing to admit. I probably did 6 or 7 layers of applying Bondo, sanding it, applying Bondo and sanding it, leveling it up, standing it up next to that one to compare the curve and the lines and stuff. multiple times until I got them to where they match as close as they ever will. So I'm very happy there. This panel is done. I'm just going to clean it and sand it. Clean it and spray this edge, which was hanging to the bottom. That's why it didn't get covered. This panel needs sprayed there. It's that corner where I had to take all of the Bondo off, the previous Bondo, because it was cracking and I didn't trust it. And this, what's this, left front is also done. It also just needs coverage there. So yeah, that's it. Interesting. These rear fenders have got a hole right there that does not take a screw to bolt it onto the chassis, but the panel balances perfectly from there. What are the chances that that's actually intended like that? Anyway, let me clean up my mess and get to spraying. Okay, so primer on the 4 panels is finally done. I'm really happy with it. This is the corner that I repaired. That fender that I repaired came out really nice. Did a couple of touch-ups here and there. I'm now gonna pour the paint back into the tin and clean my gun, and I'm actually gonna do the first coat of blue tonight. I'm set up, I'm ready. It's not late yet. It's 9:30, so yeah, plenty of time left.
With your queen of hearts, when everyone folds, your fork still holds your place in your bed, showing no regret. Close your eyes to hide your lies, roll the dice. You got me tiptoeing around you like you're made of glass. Got an invincible fence letting everyone know not to trespass. But you're bound to break down, bound to lose, bound to get knocked right out of your boots when I use my witchcraft. You're playing it cool, bending all the rules, talking way too loud and you're talking rude. You're playing a game, driving me insane. Your heart is back, and it's a fact, no turning back. You got me tiptoeing around you like you're made of glass. Got an invincible fence letting everyone know not to trespass. But you're bound to break down, bound to lose, bound to get knocked right out of your boots when I use my witchcraft. When I use my witchcraft. Come on.
Alright, so pretty much everything's got 2 coats now. I got a bit confused along the way. I wasn't quite sure where I've painted and where I haven't. So far everything's pretty good. I've got 2 runs that I remember. I can't remember where they are, but I remember seeing them. Got a bit overeager, losing concentration and whatnot, but that's not too bad. I'm damn sure I'm going to be able to sand them out. I must say the paint falls a lot better on this primer than on the previous primer. I've never been one to say that you must use the same supplier's primer and final coat, but in this case I must say it definitely does help. Very happy with what it looks like. The light is very poor. There's the one run. I don't know if you can see it. I can. But yeah, I'm gonna let it get a bit more sticky and then basically empty my can of paint. Put it on nice and thick so that I've got a lot of material to work with and sand off, wet sand later and polish. I was changing my placement and rehanging some things, and I dropped this one flat on its face. You can see the scuff marks there, over there. It's not deep. That I'm not too worried about. The bumper was gonna cover that, and fell straight onto here. I am really surprised, because this is that corner that I built up with Bondo, that didn't just shatter, because that would have been the end of my evening. I would have just stopped. But yeah, the paint is still tacky, and now it's dirty and full of grime from falling on the floor. So I'm gonna have to clean it up somehow before I put another coat on. Luckily all of it is gonna be concealed. That over there is gonna be covered by the bumper. This is not gonna show because there's another body panel stops there. There's the rubber piping, weather stripping that sits between this panel and the actual body. That'll cover that up. So all in all, damage is not too bad, but my heart just skipped a beat, definitely. Look at the insane overspray. This is what came in underneath the door last night. Still looking good. Hey Tessa, what do you think? Huh? Is it mooi? Okay, so I've got my panels here out in God's bake booth. It's a bit windy, I hope you can hear. I want to get them as warm and dry as possible. There's a couple of mistakes that were made that I need to just fix. You can probably also see it's a bit grainy there. That's mostly from the overspray, and I got a little bit over eager to put on the next coat before the previous one was tacked on properly. Big run there, and some dirt crap that got into the paint over there that I got to fix. That's interesting. That's like a hole like a chip out of the undercoat or something. Oh yeah, this is the corner that I had to rebuild, that I had to redo the Bondo on. And obviously this is where I faded my Bondo into the original, and I did a very poor job there. There's nothing I can do about that now. I'm not gonna try to fill that up with something. It's gonna have to stay. Same there. It's too bad, because this is gonna be eye-catching. But yeah, I am gonna just light sand this with the wet sand, with the like 1200 grit. Smooth it out a little bit, and then put another paint coat on. It will hide it a little bit, but yeah, did a really bad job here. Alright, so that's gonna be it for this video. I'm not done yet, not by a long shot. Even on the panels that are on here, you'll see it's a bit dull over there, and this whole panel is very dull because I've wet sanded that panel and some spots on this one. Quite a few blemishes that I have to fix, but yeah, all the panels are just hanging on here loosely to get a feel for what she looks like, and I'm very happy. I'm especially happy with the color combination. It's a big risk, but at the end of the day it came out awesome, I think. Got the doors to do yet, and the boot's gonna be a big job. It's a lot of body work to do on that. Jaco is basically done with the electrical. That will be a video on its own. Yeah, he's phenomenal at it. I just gave him the diagrams and the harness and say, there you go. He's got it all basically figured out. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, do all the things. We'll see you in the next one.